Hello, Top Fan Rivalry supporters, and welcome. Welcome. I'm doing the intro, but this is weird. Welcome to the American League with Ashley. And Top Fan, right? We got to come up with something better than that. Ash, I tell you what, I could get Megan on that, right?
Yeah, I'm supposed to. Yeah, you got to get Megan on that. I can't. I'm not creative enough to come up with a name.
Yeah, well, I'll
You call
message
it
her,
American
but
League with Ashley. What's wrong with that?
American League with Ashley sounds great.
All right.
Ashley owns the American League. How's that? I mean, even better, right? But, you know.
You know what? I'm good with whatever. I'm just here to offer analytics and information.
Analytics and information. Well, so for those of you that are listening to this on Spotify, head yourself over right now onto YouTube because guess what? This Monday morning, this episode is actually on YouTube. So if you want to put a face to Ashley's name, we got it for you on YouTube. She's right there. She's wearing her Dodger gear, being a huge Dodger fan. Um, oh,
Is that
wait.
what the D is for?
Yeah, it stands for Dodgers. That's right. I'm sorry.
Don't tarnish the name of the Old English D like that.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's the 2024, 2025, and 2026 world champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
Isn't this an American League podcast?
That's right. Sorry, we got to get back to that. Anyways, so if you guys heard Ashley and I pregame, you would understand that we go back and forth like this. This is just kind of what we do. So, Ash, let's start. Why don't we talk about potential regression? We're coming up to the season starting, right? Pitchers and catchers report in less than 30 days. Everybody reports in less than 30 days. Do you have any specific teams in the AL that you think might regress a bit, might take a step back?
At this point,
Hmm.
it pains me to say this because I like this team a lot. I'm gonna say the Seattle Mariners. They have been silent. You can hear a pin drop with them this offseason. I mean, they signed Donovan Solano was the only person that they signed. I
Hmm.
mean, that other than like minor league contracts, that's all that they've done. And like I said, it pains me to say it because I love their rotation. I actually do think Julio is going to have a really good year. I think that Robles is going to have a good year. But even, they lost Justin Turner, who was a big bat. Um, I don't know if I see it going well for them if they don't add a bat. Now that could change. If they add a bat, obviously free agency isn't done. Um, they add a bat, maybe, my opinion on that could change, but yeah, I feel like they haven't made any meaningful moves at all. They've just kind of been silent and they need somebody else who slugs. Julio cannot do it all himself.
Yeah,
It's a lot of
100%.
pressure to put on a young guy like that. So yeah, unfortunately, I hate to say it, because they really are like my second favorite American League team. Um, I think it's gonna be the Mariners.
I can't argue with you on that. I really can't argue with that. I've actually got two teams, and don't at me, people, if you don't like what I'm saying here, but I've actually got two teams in the
Where's
American League.
the fun in that?
Well, you know what? I it
Looking
just
at you.
yeah, at me at Ashley is my what do you call it? Ashley's my enforcer.com. That's where you at me at. So you
No,
come at
yeah,
me, I'm just calling Ashley. That's
they
all I'm
can
gonna
add
do.
you at me, and then I'll add bookmarks, and then we'll come back around to those receipts at the end of the season.
There you go. We keep receipts. We keep receipts on this show.
But if you're
American League
wrong,
with Ashley,
I'm
we keep
forwarding them over
receipts.
to you, and
Got
you
it.
have to deal with it.
There you go. So there's two teams I think in the American League that I'm not quite sure where they go. I don't know that I like what the Astros did in the offseason. Getting rid of Kyle Tucker, I think, is a huge blow to them.
Mhm.
Also, I mean, they did get some prospects for it, which is good. Also, I getting rid of JV, some of their veteran leadership, they're kind of getting rid of. And I don't know. I mean, they talked about having Frommer on the trade block and things of that nature. So I don't know about the Astros. What are your thoughts about the Astros?
I mean, but JV's at the end of his career. Like, I think they have other veteran leaders beside him. And like
Yeah.
performance wise, I mean, he's not a bad number five to have, but I don't think JV is that big of an impact. I think more like Kyle Tucker wise, if they don't get Alex Bregman back. I know I read the rumors yesterday that made me want to put my head through a wall. That they're back in the mix for Alex Bregman.
Mm.
Um, so that, that was a little bit of a blow because we've kind of been dragging our feet on that a little bit. But I think if they got Bregman back, I think that it would be good for them.
Yeah,
But based on the moves that they've already made, yeah, everything's been really tight-lipped, right? I mean, yeah, the rumors out there that they've been back in talks with him, but we don't really know any details beyond that. So,
yeah, yeah. And Breckman's a different conversation. I just had a conversation about him on another podcast, um, which airs this morning or this afternoon, I should say. But I talked about how Alex is maybe had overcooked his grits by not taking that option from the um, uh, taking the offer from Houston and or signing sooner. So my other team, Ashley, believe it or not, my other team is the Orioles. The Orioles losing Corbin Burns, and they still kind of felt like they were inching forward, but they didn't have a full-fledged identity. And I
mhm,
maybe they might have regressed back a bit.
yeah,
Talk to me.
I can see it. I could definitely see it. The thing about the Orioles is they have so many good prospects,
Mhm.
but they're not big on drafting pitching. If you look at them, the last what like 10-ish years. I don't know if it's been. Don't fact check me on that because I'm not good at time, but
At
five
her, at
years,
her.
yeah, 5 years maybe. But their draft strategy is they draft big bats.
Yeah,
They draft big bats and they draft guys in premium positions. Also they lost Santander.
yep,
So
yeah,
there's 44 home runs gone. So I don't think you're too off base there.
yeah.
And
Uh,
with the AL East, the way it's going to be, the Yankees have had not the best offseason, but for losing Juan Soto, they've had a decent offseason. They have, the Max Fried signing, I think was really big for them, and that was surprising for me. The Red Sox, I think, are going to be, we talked about this on the last episode. I think that they're going to be a surprise team this year. So I don't, I think they're going to be 1 and 2 in the division. I don't really know where the Orioles end up. Um,
mhm,
should be interesting to see. But yeah, I could see them regressing for sure. Um, but again, this offseason isn't over yet, right? And I think the Bregman not signing yet is holding up a lot.
mhm.
I think once he eventually signs, that might open the floodgate for the rest of the free agents. So
Yeah, I mentioned this on another podcast too, but I'll tell it to you. And this might be a fun little debate that we could have on another show, you and I. But I'm actually in favor of almost putting teeth behind it if I were the MLB and saying, okay, all players that are free agents, you can start negotiating after the last out of the World Series. After that, if you don't sign by January 15th, you're frozen out until after everybody signs, right? Or I mean, after everybody until February 15th, you can't negotiate. You've gotta have it done. And then in addition to that, if you don't sign after the last day of February, you're frozen out from signing until trade deadline. Like put teeth in it, like because fans fans want to see certain players. I mean, wouldn't you like to know if Alex Bregman was going to be a Tiger?
I mean, yes, yes, absolutely. And the thing is, I think we can definitely say that from a fan perspective. From a
Hmm.
player perspective, I'm not a player, so I can't really speak on how they would feel about that. I don't know if that's fair to them. I don't know enough to have an opinion on whether or not that would be fair to them. But as a fan, most definitely. Yeah. Because I think that's a game that Boris has been playing for a really long time. And I think that that's what he's done with Alex Bregman this offseason. I think and it's funny you say you talked about this on a different podcast. I talked about this on a different podcast last night because Alex Bregman was, a big topic of conversation. I think that Scott Boras overestimated his market. And then he rejected that offer with Houston, which now, to my understanding, I think that offer is still on the table. Um, but the rumor I've heard is that Bregman is looking for, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, which I don't think he's going to get that. I can personally say my opinion from what I've seen from Scott Harris,
Mhm.
our president of baseball operations, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I don't know that another team is going to do that. Um, unless it were maybe for like a lower AAV and a front loaded contract that would be easy to get rid of by the time he starts regressing. Um,
yeah.
anyway, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. No,
But
I agree with you. That's was something, everybody that you're listening to the show, let me help you understand something. Ashley has a baseball mind like nobody else's, right? And I just bring, I guess, I don't know, the humor or the non-knowledge, whatever. I don't know what I bring to it. It's to bring the on the upset. We're gonna end up off topic a lot. So as the season progresses, don't be surprised when one of us like takes you out into left field and then the other one says, "Ah, come on back, come on back." So
I
awesome.
try
I
to
don't
catch
care that
myself.
you
I'm sorry. I'm off topic, but
you're good. No, you're good. That's listen, I brought it up with Breckman and honestly, you bring up a good point with players. We don't know necessarily how they would feel, although again, and I don't know how to say this politely, understanding a little bit of personal finance in my life. I don't know how to say this politely, except to say that $100 million is generational money.
yeah,
Uh, and so when you're talking, oh, I want 6 years, 200 million, listen, take the 100 and something million for 3 years or 4 years. That's generational money.
yeah.
So,
And I wouldn't be opposed even to us offering because what the Astros was it 5 and 156 or was it 6 and 156 that they offered him five? Okay, so if
but
we even were given the opportunity to counter that, and the Tigers could say 6 years, 180, I wouldn't even be opposed to that. Like I said, I would think that maybe they would consider front loading
yeah,
a little bit of that money. That way we don't end up in another Javi Bias situation. I don't, I can't attest to whether that whole situation has to do with anything, any reason
mm,
why we haven't been huge on long-term contracts. I know, we're finally at the point where we're contenders.
mhm,
Um, so I think if we're going to sign somebody long term, now's the time. But Bregman's already 30. Bregman has regressed in the last couple of years, and
mm.
naturally it's going to happen. I don't see him. He's not a free swinger like Javi Baez. He's always controlled the zone really well. So I don't think he's going to drop off like that. But, I don't see a contract longer than 5 years coming from us. So,
Javi Baez is the only person to steal first base. So we want to give him that credit, although that was in a Cubs jersey. So,
yeah.
and that will be played forever, except for in Pittsburgh on like baseball funny clips and things like that. No, I mean, awesome. Is there any player that you know that is already in the American League? You just mentioned regression on an individual player. Is there any player that you feel might regress this year a little bit in the American League, or have you not thought that through?
I didn't really have a player who I was like, yeah, I could definitely see them regressing. Um, because regress is such a big word, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
I asked myself because 10 out of our 26 were rookies last season, which is crazy. Um, I'm hoping that nobody regresses, right? I'm hoping that
yeah,
Parker Meadows stays amazing. Um, I hope that happens. But realistically, 10 of them were rookies and they came up and they did really, really well. We went on a crazy run. Do I think it's possible that some of them regress a little bit? Absolutely. I was even looking at Seattle's rotation and how amazing they were last season. I'm like, I feel like a little bit of regression's got to happen, right? They were incredible, all five of them last season.
mhm,
But again, regression is a big word. Regression sounds like a scary word. I'm not saying any of them are going to be bad. Absolutely. It's just, are they going to have as good of a season as they did last season? I don't know.
So I've got two of these, and I agree with that statement. Um, Regression is a tough word for the first. First one is Christian Walker. He is staying on the West Coast, technically. I mean, it's Texas, right? But he's going to Houston. So technically, he's staying in the American League West. But he's in a different league, different ballpark, different teams that he doesn't typically face a lot, and he'll see a lot more American League ballparks than he did in the past. Maybe he hit 251 last year, so he might regress just a little bit, but I don't know. I don't. Usually, when guys switch clubs, it's not as big of a deal. When you switch leagues, it becomes a bigger deal because you're seeing pitchers, some of them that you don't see that often.
And he's going to be seeing a lot of Seattle's pitching, which is, dominant. I'm not saying that that's the reason he's going to regress. I think like when we were talking about this earlier, before we started recording,
Yeah.
I think the National League is a lot better than the American League, player wise. You guys have all the stars over there.
Hey,
I'm
oh,
not saying we don't have good players, but yeah, it's he's going to be seeing different pitching, so who
yeah,
knows? But also that works to his benefit too because they haven't seen him yet, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
obviously, you have tape that you watch and whatever, but you have scouts that go out there and tell you do this, do that. But yeah, it
yeah,
could go either way. So that's an interesting one.
yeah. The other one I think might, and this is sad that I'm using the term regression, but I think it's more of a mental game for him than a physical game.
Mhm.
Anthony Rendon has not stayed on the field. I think he's played 257 games for the Angels over 4 seasons, and he signed a 6-year deal. And so he's got 37 million owed to him this year, 38 million owed to him this year, 38 million owed to him next year. Um, Obviously, he got hurt early on. Angel fans were booing him last year. I was at their home opener, and he started the season out 0 for 9, and literally they were booing him. Ashley, he fouled off a pitch, and he got a standing ovation. That's how much they don't like him in Anaheim. That might be a mental game more than a physical game. I think even if he can stay on the field, he might regress just a little bit because he knows he's not
I mean,
totally loved.
Rendon's been not good for a while though.
Yeah,
So you think he's going to be even worse?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And here's the theory about him. And so I'm just pulling this up. Let's see here. He has been with the Angels now for 5 seasons.
Yep.
5 seasons. 162 games times five, right? We're close to 7 games. He's only played in 257 games. Of those 5 seasons, he's gotten 224 hits. He's got 125 RBIs and 20 hits.
I I don't know if what's going on. You sound like you're going underwater a little bit.
Oh,
Like
I'm sorry.
no,
Is
it's
that
okay.
better?
I can like hear you and then the volume goes way down and then I can hear you and then the volume goes way down.
Oh no, I don't know
Sorry.
what's going on. No,
So
no,
I
no,
only heard
you're
like half
fine.
of that. I'm sorry.
No, no, I'm glad you told me. I'm so sorry.
I
I
thought it
don't
was
know.
gonna stop and then it didn't stop.
No, I thought technology and maybe technology is beating us today. I don't know what's going on.
That's better. I can hear you now.
Okay. But what I was saying was, I mean, 22 home runs, 125 RBIs, 257 games out of 5 seasons. And I mean, the dude collected every year at least $26 million a season.
Mhm.
And I mean, last year he collected 38 million, 38 and a half million. I honestly, I think he regresses just a bit just because I just don't think mentally he's going to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been in a great place mentally,
No, no.
even last year. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I could see him getting worse. So
Okay,
um,
with the last couple minutes we have, let's do rapid fire awards. Let's
all
predict
right.
awards for a second. Let's predict our MVP. Let's predict our rookie of the year. Let's predict our Cy Young Award winner. Mhm.
So, maybe this is just me being partial to my Tigers, but I'm gonna say Jackson Jobe as Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Um, I got the opportunity to see Jackson Jobe twice while he was rehabbing last season. Um, he's incredible to watch. He's incredible to watch. Um, rumor has it he's been working possibly on some new pitches. I was watching some video of him the other day, and it looked like he had like a curveball going, which was interesting to see. He's got a really good. I think he's got a double plus slider, if I remember correctly, in his scouting report.
Okay.
He's got a great cutter. He's got a great fastball. You know, he's hit triple digits before. As long as Jackson Jobe can find his command and keep that command, I see him being rookie of the year. And
Okay.
then so for my Cy Young, I picked George Kirby. And I think we've talked about this before. I could, I've seen George Kirby now for a while, winning a Cy Young, you know. Um, I mean, he doesn't use his curveball as much as his other pitches. His curve and his split, he's not using as much as his four seam, his slider, and his sinker, but his command is so good. The shape on all those, I mean, I would say maybe the slider might be his most inconsistent in shape, but the rest of them, the way he's commanding those pitches is incredible. Um, he's gotten he's pitched more innings every season. His numbers have gotten better every season. Um, George Kirby's due, and I mean, looking at his heat maps on Savant, his command is so good. George Kirby is so good. I see him winning a Cy Young. I think this might be his year.
I like it. MVP.
MVP, Bobby Witt Jr.
Great minds think alike. I think Bobby Witt's years this year. I get the fact that everybody loves Arson Judge, but I think Bobby Witt Jr.'s got it this year.
Bobby Witt's a five-tool player. Judge is
Yes.
stealing as many bases as Bobby Witt Jr. Yeah, that's it
Yeah.
pains me to say it because he's in my division, but you have to respect Bobby Wood Jr. He's a great player. He's a five-tool player. He's exciting to watch. He's scary when he's coming up against your team. I mean, he's one player. I trust Eric Skubal 100% on the mound, but he is one player that when he comes up, even versus Skubal, I'm like, I'm biting my nails a little bit.
There you go. There you go. No, those are great. Those are great picks. I agree with you on Jackson Jobe. Believe it or not, I think that that's your shot. George Kirby's interesting because last season he pitched an inning and a third more than he did the season prior. He pitched 191.2 innings, but he amassed. Let me see if I got this right. He amassed almost 20 more strikeouts, and he's now at a strikeout rate of about 7.78-ish or so per 9 innings. So the dude is good. The dude is good. Although I still think your guy Scooble is he's going to say, "Hold my Gatorade. I want to do what I did before, and we're going to make these things happen." And sayonara. So I think Scooble is the guy when it comes to Cy Young. So there you go. I
Listen,
agree
I
with two of
wouldn't
the
be
three.
opposed to that. I love that choice. I love that choice. I mean, I hope he can have the same kind of I don't see Scuba regressing. I definitely don't. And the crazy thing is watching him, I think it was an interview he was on with Pitching Ninja, and I love Pitching Ninja. Um, I think I was watching his interview with him and he was talking about his slider and how because right now he's got like his slider is very similar to like a cutter, right? Like his slider cuts, it doesn't really sweep like a lot of other guys.
Right.
But he was talking about how he looked up to Clayton Kershaw and he really liked how his slider was and he wanted to keep working on it. And it's like slider's already really good. And he's like, yeah, I want to keep working on it. If he keeps working on things, the rest of the league is just cooked.
The rest of the league's going to look at him and go, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Scooble is an alien. Scooble's not human.
No,
I'm so, so, so lucky to have him on my favorite team and be able to watch him every 5 days.
yeah, no, school's good. School's good. He kind of came up on the scene earlier than last year than I had anticipated because most guys were looking at Jack, right? They weren't looking at School at all. But Jack isn't a Tiger anymore.
Yeah, I do have to say I disagree with that because there was a lot of discourse about Scooble before the season started. Um,
Not nationally.
oh, well, maybe.
Not, not
Yeah, I wasn't listening to National League discourse. I was listening to Tigers
yeah.
opinion
Not
discourse
that's what I'm saying is nationally people are talking about him now.
about Jack.
No, about Trey Skubal.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I misinterpreted what you just
Yeah.
said. Yeah, I mean, I know he was the big, like everybody's like, oh, he's gonna break out, he's gonna break out. I know a lot of people have bet on him to win the Cy Young. And I mean, he had a good season in 2023, but that was a lot. He was hurt. So that
Mhm.
was a lot less of a sample size. But he came out in 2024, had a full season and put up numbers really close. I mean, he had a better ERA and his whip was 0.02 points higher than 2023. And that was in triple. Am I doing math right? What's eight? No, a little over double the innings pitched.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, Jack was great too. Jack was a strikeout machine. And I don't know if you saw his interview that he did yesterday talking about he wanted to come back to or he would be open to coming back to Detroit and he didn't want to be traded. Which we've talked about this. I loved the Jack Flaherty trade. I love Jack Flaherty. I would love to have him back. But for, if we don't get Trey Sweeney, we're probably not making the playoffs. And my personal favorite prospect, Mr. Tyrone Lorenzo, thanks for him. I'm I was with the Flaherty trade.
Well, you said that to me. You said that to me before because of what you got back in it.
Yeah.
But if you can keep the players that you have and you could add Jack back, that's not a bad thing. Right?
My only thing with that, we do have a lot of internal options as far as pitching goes. We have Sawyer Gibson Long's going to be healthy. We have Ty Madden, who I think he tweaked his arm angle or something like that. He got a lot better. We have Kyder Montero. I'm not as big on Matt Manning, but like he is an option. We have so many options for a rotation. I think Jack is a better option. Oh, Brent Herter too. I think Jack is, he's somebody who I feel like we probably know more so what we're gonna get with him. So, but I don't know. Everything's been really tight-lipped. So,
Yeah. No, yeah. You're also in a division too that you could win the division with 87 wins.
yeah.
You're not, and that's again not a disrespectful thing, but you're also in a division where it could only take 87 to win. Whereas if you were in the American League East, it would take 93 or 94 to win.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a tight race, I think, between the Yankees and the Red Sox, which is I love to see. That
Yeah,
old
good for
rivalry
baseball.
coming back. Yeah, yeah, I think
Good
so.
for baseball.
Yeah,
So,
since your team is ruining it.
hey, we're in the new evil empire.
Yeah, you are.
Just
Yeah,
hey, you're not supposed to agree so quickly. You're supposed
I
to say no,
do.
Bill. They're not.
I have the Dodgers muted on Twitter. I have the word Dodgers and the word Roki Sasaki muted on Twitter.
Ladies and gentlemen, sooner or later she'll get the words "top fan rivalry" muted entirely. Watch.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, you
That's
know
funny.
what? The discourse was stressing me out, so I had to do away with it.
Ashley will be receiving in the mail some Dodger gear here shortly, courtesy of Top Fan Rivalry. We'll have to make a bet or something. They're already start. You know what it is, everybody that's listening? Do you know what it is? She's just frustrated they're starting out 0-3 this season.
Yeah, okay.
They're just she
Yeah.
doesn't
You
it's
know
player
what?
hate.
Because if that does happen, you're absolutely right. I will have a meltdown and I'll have to excuse myself from the show for the week to recover mentally.
Because I'll be sitting there dancing. Let's talk. let's talk this last series. How did that last series
And
go?
you're doing the show by yourself.
Well, everybody, first of all, one, I'm grateful if you guys are listening to this over Spotify or anywhere where you get your podcast. Hopefully, you also go over to take a look at that there. You want to make sure you follow Ashley on her socials. Ashley, can you let everybody know where your socials are at?
Yes, it is. I am on Twitter and Instagram at ASHELIZCOUT.
COUT. Perfect.
T
Now,
as in Tom.
T is in Tom. Okay. So, and now everybody, first of all, follow her. That's number one. Number two, every week we're going to be doing the show, and every week we get a little back and forth. Ashley and I will be doing that. We'll probably have a special guest on the 10th, on February 10th. Another gal that will be on. Ashley and I talked about this before. If there, it, and if you're, make sure that you're also following Top Fan Rivalry. If you're not, also check out the website. And if there's anything that's fun for you that's on the website, use now this is going to be tough for everybody to remember, Ashley, but use the words Ashley in all caps and you'll actually get 10% off on anything that you buy at Top Fan. So if you can remember the word Ashley, which we've said 300 times on the show, you can remember the discount code, right?
You
So
know, I've DMs are a scary place, but sometimes I get DMs from people and they misspell my name even though it's spelled on my account. So make sure you don't misspell it.
yeah, some people's kids, right?
I'm a basic 90s baby. It's ASHLEY.
There you go. Not Lee.
Yeah,
So
no, not LEELEIGH, any of those spellings.
yes, there you go. Well, Ashley, let's do it again next week,
Yes,
right? This has been
absolutely.
awesome. Thank you so much. And Top Fan Rivalry supporters, make sure you're giving Ashley some love. Make sure that you follow her on her socials. Be nice to her in her DMs. Don't do anything stupid. Don't make me have to do anything.
You can be
So
mean. It's okay. You can be mean. I will roast anybody who's mean to me.
there you go. There you go. Have a good one, all. We'll see you next Monday.